Welcome to Samuelsdottir channel. Kevin Samuels was truly a truth seeker, and after many years of educating both men and women of all races, but particularly those of African descent, in the art of navigating the ever-complex dating world, he was sadly ripped from our lives as he was called back home to the Almighty in 2022. Some of us, myself included, instinctively recognized the truth of his message. Many found his message rather unpalatable. I am hoping with this channel to make his message that little bit more digestible in a more feminine and softer manner. I hope this helps my sisters in the Black community who saw him as an enemy. Being Black myself, I hope I can bridge that gap. And oh, by the way, my father was also called Samuel, so in a twist of fate, I pay tribute with this channel to my father, who is also where Kevin has gone. I love how the Icelandic have a way of acknowledging someone's daughter in the same way as someone's son. So I appropriate the Icelandic way to find a suitable name for my channel, Samuelsdottir, Samuel's daughter. Enjoy the video.
Well, there ain't no real high value men in that part of Carolina or whatever. Your audio is not connected, ma'am. She's over here just cooking, doing what she's doing. Your audio's not connected. She's over here making some Velveeta shells and cheese. Yeah, we're cooking up some stuff. Hold on, man. What's going on?
I got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams, hogs, dogs, chicken, turkeys, rabbits, you name
it! Your audio's not connected. Oh my. Mookie! Why do I keep getting do the right thing flashbacks? I don't know why it is, man. That's so bad. That's funny. But I was saying that you got to be in proximity. So it's kind of like if you want lobster and your ass live in Nebraska. Ooh, I love some seafood. I love seafood. Where do you live? I love crab. I want to eat crab cakes in the morning. I want to eat shrimp at night. And I want to eat snapper and whitefish and redfish. I love what comes from the sea. Oh my God, I'm a seafood fanatic. Where do you live? Nebraska. Fuck you mean? You're like, ooh, I love beef. Oh my God, I want to eat steak night and day and morning and noon. Where you live? Maui. Fuck you mean? What? Huh? No, you gotta go to where it is. Cody, stop trying to, Cody over here, unmute yourself. Hello, how are you? You over here trying to cook in the mess hall or something? Okay, where are you from? Okay, what do you got for me? What do you got?
Well, I just wanted to touch a little bit on the topic. I think nowadays, the younger kids are not in tune with who they are. They've been married for a long time, and my husband and me are on the same level.
How long you been married?
20 years.
Because I saw you in there cooking up some stuff.
Oh yeah, I got about 30 minutes. Hope he gets home, and then I want everything.
What are you moving around on your head?
Oh, my hair gets in my face.
Oh, okay, go ahead. As long as you cooking and getting ready, do you have any kids?
I got 3 kids.
Any daughters?
1 daughter.
How old is she?
She will be 20 this year.
Did you raise her to be a wife?
Well, I hope I did by my examples that I set, but I do want her to get an education and feel satisfied in her life before she goes on. But
what does that mean?
Got somebody. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What does that mean? You want her to get an education and be satisfied in her life before she moves on. What does that mean?
Well, because everybody feels better. I think you feel better the more you know and the more educated you can become. To me, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna go run a corporation or anything like that. Because I'm just a regular person. But
Right.
it's good to have an education so that you can teach your children in case something happens and
Oh,
you
I
can
agree.
step in as a mother.
I agree. I agree. But I think it's also important to teach your daughters to prioritize relationships over job because the
Well,
world
that she
tells them to
does.
prioritize job over relationship.
Yeah, see that I really. She's picking up on that. I kind of did that more by example every day instead of having to say it.
But you got to
Sometimes I
say
feel
it.
like
But you
it's
got to say it. But
ATS.
you got to say it.
That's yeah. I
That's
feel
what.
like
That's
she's
one of the
doing.
biggest things that when I talk to young women, the biggest disconnects is their mothers who were married didn't teach them, didn't talk to them, and didn't tell them specifically. They just live life, and that is insufficient based upon the thousands of women who I've talked to about this, and they tell me my mama didn't teach me nothing.
True.
All right,
True.
finish cooking them grits.
Thank you. Nice
Yeah,
talking with you, Kevin.
bye bye. Yeah, ladies, I'm gonna tell
Bye.
you. A lot of times, I think women today, especially married women, don't want to seem like they're limiting their daughters or telling their daughters that, well, if you get married, um, you don't want to tell their daughters to get married. That's what it comes down to. It's like you're more comfortable letting them make their own decisions. No, daughters need to be directed. You need to tell them your wishes. Yes, I want you to be educated and be able to think and know your own mind and know these things. But also, family is important, and that requires a husband. And these things are important. And women, I think a lot of women think they're doing their daughter a service by not telling them, because if you told them, that would make them feel like they got to get married, or if they didn't get married, they'd be a failure. And that's not the case. So you got these girls out here just running around and they don't know. So they pick whatever they like versus picking what works.
Isn't it funny that the one married woman who comes on the show is cooking? There is a lesson in there somewhere. Yeah, interesting. Anyway, so this business about married women not really actively teaching their daughters about life, about relationships, about prioritization of relationships over work or study is actually pretty standard. I don't think it's a conscious thing, but I've noticed it's pretty common. Now, most successful families, those who do get their daughters married off, find a way to correct this somehow before the dreaded 30 age limit for their daughters.
Picking whatever they like versus what works. Yeah, this Russell thing, I think I'll pick this up in Men's Week. But I'm going to go on the record again. I think this Russell Wilson thing, there is a conversation needs to happen amongst the men. But ladies, where it needs to happen amongst the ladies is, y'all want to say Sierra's prayer and y'all want a Russell Wilson? All right, let me tell you the problem with that bullshit. You ain't fucking Russell Wilson in high school. That's the problem. That's the problem. You ain't going to the prom with Russell Wilson. You're not sleeping with Russell Wilson. You're not Russell Wilson's girlfriend. You ain't going to Russell Wilson's locker. You ain't doing none of that shit with Russell Wilson. When Russell Wilson's a freshman in college, you ain't going to his dorm buying them Domino's pizza. You ain't doing none of that shit. What you doing is you going to kick it with whomever. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. How you doing, Mr. Kevin?
I'm good. How old are you?
I'm 28.
All right. What do you got for me?
All right. I pretty much wanted to say how I think modern women mostly are scared. They make it seem like it's this boss attitude, but it's really fear, fear of fear of submitting, fear of being wrong. I'm in a
Are you single?
relationship.
Or
I
are
can
you
be a good.
single? Or are you married?
I'm not married by law, but I've
Okay,
been with my boyfriend 5 years.
go ahead.
We do have kids.
Go ahead.
And when I came into my relationship, I was a young woman. I feel that I had that attitude of that boss B attitude. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it took some growing to be like, you know what? When somebody's correcting me, I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a mother, so I have to change certain things. I can't just be in the work field and neglecting my kids, because a lot of those things are hard to
Mm-hmm.
modern women. So they make it seem like they so bossy, so they don't have to grow things. They could just stay the same, and
Right.
you know
They're
what I
perfect
mean? Run
already.
free.
How many children do you have?
I have 3 kids.
Three. And you guys have been together 5 years?
Yes, sir.
Are you guys planning on getting married one day?
To be honest, we don't desire to be married by law, but
Mm.
I do run my household as if I'm married,
Okay.
because I do want to be married, but
Mhm.
not necessarily by law.
Have you guys? Do you got you? And I don't know, so don't take this wrong way, but um,
Mhm.
have you sat down with anybody to understand the advantages of doing it by law, as you would say, versus this way?
Yes,
Okay. Because I mean, look,
I know it's a
we
securement
didn't
on
used to
your
have to get them.
investment of time.
Well, the thing is, I mean, especially as a woman, I mean, look, as long as you're making an informed decision, because there are, and not things I'm prepared to go into right now, but there are advantages on both sides, especially with this amount of kids. As long as you're making an informed decision and you know what you're choosing, that's all I'm asking. That's cool. As long as y'all stay together, that's cool. Have a good one,
Yeah.
man. I'm gonna go ahead and build on something you said. I do think a lot of it is about fear. I do think a lot of it is about fear. Look, why did I say what I said about Russell? Because I'm tired of seeing women in their late 30s talk about, well, then I want a Russell Wilson. Then I want a Russell Wilson. Well, chick, you weren't dating, you weren't sleeping with Russell Wilson, and you didn't lose your virginity to Russell Wilson in high school. You didn't lose your virginity to Russell Wilson. You didn't go to prom with Russell Wilson. You weren't Russell Wilson's girlfriend on the yard. You only want Russell Wilson after you dated, I'm not going to say Future because that ain't fair. Shout out to Future. I like his new shit just dropped. Yeah, I keep trying. Anyway, stop trying to demonize these people you don't know, because they're archetypes to you. But the thing is, creative and artsy men, ladies, they are not not generally the stable ones. They're not the ones that typically consistently can provide. So the things that make you excited, men aren't upset about Russell. Men are upset that you don't pick Russell first. That you don't pick Russell when you're in your prime at your highest sexual marketplace value. You only decide upon Russell after you have passed your sexual marketplace value prime, and then you try to get the Russell market to believe you're paying premium when he knows and everybody else can see you are giving us your discounted SMV. That's the problem. So let's take Sierra and Russell and move them over here. And let's say you had, give me another name. Robert and Sarah. You got Robert and Sarah. Sarah's an up-and-coming young R&B artist, beautiful, singing a song called Oreos or Crackers or Jelly Beans or whatever. And then you got Robert, and he plays for New York Giants. I don't care. Pick a team. And he didn't go to Stanford. He went to UC Berkeley. I don't care wherever. But she could have dated anybody in the industry, but she decided to get with the guy who was the nerdy, goofy quarterback who went to Purdue or whatever. And she got with him and was there on draft day and was there from the beginning. And they got married and she had only his kids. Then men would believe that you really wanted Roberts or Russells. But don't get mad that men don't believe that women want Russells, Roberts, when you don't marry them and make babies with them first. When you date guys who are in the NFL, in the NBA, who are entertainers, who are athletes, who may have and not the lineman, not the punter. We're talking about the value positions, receivers, running backs, quarterbacks, the face guys. And you date guys who are solo performing artists like rappers. You're getting a big personality. And I will tell you, as somebody who's gone from this side over to having a little bit of notoriety and fame, you're surrounded by a lot of stuff. Now, what would it look like to you guys or to women if I turned around and dated? If I turned around and got somebody that she belongs to the streets, and I got her pregnant and bought her a bunch of houses and then I married the nice accountant that went to Spelman and she got what was left. Y'all be like, that ain't right. You know, that's the ultimate point. So it's a heated conversation. Let's wrap this up. We done got all off subject. Cam and Lizzo. Look, personally, the issue I have with Lizzo is the fact that Lizzo can exist out loud and fully exist in her truth and her power and everything else, and Cam Newton and men cannot. And it's not even as though they cannot. It's that we pedestalize women and we are demonizing everything it is to be a man. Well, I want to hear from the Annas and all these other guys. What kind of world do you want to have? What kind of men are going to build? Who's going to build this world? Because you can say all this empowerment and everything else, but who really built this world? Who runs the world? Who builds the infrastructure? Can women maintain? Sure. But it is in a female's nature to get out and conquer and build like men do? Not in mass. And we are getting to the point to where it is time for us to start deciding men are important. Men matter. Men are more than just utilities to be used and discarded. The pendulum has swung too far towards women and it needs to swing back towards men. And this is what I think men need to start speaking for, fighting for, championing. You need to vote with your eyeballs, your attention, your dollars, and everything else, because you want real change, then it's going to happen at the grassroots level. You're going to have to show that there's money in speaking on behalf of men and not just in salaciousness and just talk. You're going to have to show that there's money at the city, state, local, federal level. You're going to have to show that there's money at the brand level. You're going to have to do what it takes as men, and you can't just be worried about, I got mine and I'm good. No, more than that, more than that, more than that, more than that. It says women condition out, they can take it. Men can't say nothing, but can't take men from having standards. What kind of message? That's right. Do we want men to have standards? Ladies, do you want men to have standards? Do you want men to have preferences? Do you want men who speak strongly for what they believe in, whether you think it's archaic, arcane, or not? Or do you only want to hear from the men who tell you what you want to hear? My last question is to anybody who may disagree, whether you're on the Anna side or those other guys' side, where are the men of value who are single and marriage minded who share your opinion? Because that's where the rubber meets the road. It may sound good to your ears, ladies. It may feel good to your ego. But if your goal in your life is to be married to a man of value that you respect and admire, those men come with standards, expectations, boundaries, restrictions. And these people telling you what you want to hear do not have an open fount. They do not have a ready reservoir of men that they can put you in contact with. Many of them tell you what you want to hear and go back off to their husbands. Just like that guy on NBC went back off to his traditional ass wife. Because you know damn well he wouldn't be married to a bad boss chick. All right, we're going to try to keep to 2 hours. We are almost at the 2 hour mark. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Tomorrow night, Instagram, Wednesday, back on YouTube, Thursday on Instagram, Friday. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure you subscribe. You are going to love what's coming up. More on the archetypes. The stories are coming up. And I got news that's coming up. Don't be surprised if you start seeing me pop up over here or over there, on this one, on that one. Godfather's going national, going global. And here's the thing. I'm taking you with me. Because one thing I say, my goal is simple. I want to help men and women become the best version of themselves, and I want to help men get the outcomes that they want. And men have overwhelmingly said they want women. They want wives and families. Overwhelmingly. No question. But what kind of women do they want? And are you the kind of woman that the kind of man you want? Are you the kind of woman he wants in a woman? If not, we got to get that all discussed. A couple other things.
The question, are you the woman he wants, is kind of a difficult one, because the problem is most people, women of this current generation, don't actually know what men want. I'm not saying it's their fault. I'm just saying this is the case. Somehow, in previous generations, young women were brought up to know what men want. And, what men want hasn't changed in generations, in centuries. But somehow, this generation, or the last few generations, I should say, have lost the natural instinct towards knowledge on this subject. There are many reasons for that. Part of it being distraction with education, with schooling, not quite the education that is necessary and is desirable and will lead to successful relationships. We have education for careers and jobs, which are a little distraction from relationships. Hey, it's neither wrong nor right. It just is. But the problem is it just leads to a disconnect between what men want and what women think men want. With the results that everyone's confused. So I think the first thing to do is to educate women as to what men want.
The other way around is also true, and that is successfully being done by men's sides. Perhaps Kevin Samuels himself was one of those pioneers who helped with this kind of education for men. But he chose to do the same for women, and yet he's described as misogynistic. Make that make sense. So, food for thought as always. It's been an interesting video, I think. Let's hope it helps someone. Peace, love, harmony, and grace, as always. Until next time.